Welcome to Global Tax Talks, Tax in 60 Seconds. I'm Will Morris. And here are some things to watch out for in the coming week. First, of course, Pillar 2 and the side-by-side agreement. At meetings in Paris last week held under the Chatham House rule, i.e. comments can be reported but not attributed to individuals, considerable optimism was reported from a number of participants. Optimism that an agreement could and would be reached by the end of the year, not least because the participants were all too aware of the likely outcome of failure, i.e. more retaliation. There was optimism that the permanent ETR safe harbour could be improved by WP11 and would provide a solid foundation for still more improvements in this space. Also optimism that the CBCR transitional safe harbour could be extended by another year at the 17% rate until the end of 2027. So, time to crack open a bottle of Christmas cheer? Well, undoubtedly at a general level, things do seem to be moving in the right direction. But while, of course, I would hate to play the Grinch in the holiday season, as I keep on saying, we also need to listen to what is not, or at least only very quietly, being said. So, those silent items in no particular order. First, what about the eligibility of other countries to get side-by-side treatment? Clearly, the effort to restrict this to the US by narrowly tailoring the criteria continues, although not necessarily with the support of some very large non-Pillar 2 countries. Second, the issues of credits, one of the 4 pillars of the June G7 agreement, has been intentionally decoupled from the project, again to the distress of some countries. Third, the level of detail in some parts of the agreement may be a little too high for it to be fully self-acting. Fourth, on the safe harbours, the permanent ETR safe harbour, even somewhat improved, really does not provide much simplification. And nothing was said about extending the UPE UTPR safe harbour beyond the end of 2025, a crucial issue not just for the US, but also for China. Fifth, and finally, although an afterthought perhaps, is that nothing was said about businesses from eligible countries and their filing and tax payment requirements while other countries are changing their laws. That is quite a big deal for business, and its non-solution, if I can put it like that, will raise some eyebrows. So we'll see. I really will take any good news over bad news any day, but also staying clear-eyed about this, certainly as businesses, is crucial. Moving on, the European finance ministers at ECOFIN last week had agreed to discuss Pillar 2. While there was no official EU-level readout, there was an Estonian government statement calling for flexibility in the application of Pillar 2 in light of US treatment under the side-by-side agreement, and for a potential reopening of the directive. The statement noted that more than 10 member states share similar concerns. The large countries and the Commission subsequently rallied in defence of Pillar 2, but nevertheless. And finally, some quite major news from the European Parliament, where MEPs voted to significantly increase the revenue and employee thresholds for sustainability reporting requirements under CSRD and CSDDD, as well as removing the requirement to prepare a transition plan for their journey to meeting the Paris Agreement. The way forward still needs to be negotiated with the Council of Ministers, but it is possible that dramatically fewer companies will be in scope than anticipated. Now, why am I telling you this, as these requirements are largely tax adjacent rather than being directly tax related? Well, this issue has come up in relation to the US-EU trade deal of last August, so this may be a positive sign in the trade space and thus in the tax space. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and come back next week so that you stay global tax ready.